friends, and welcome to another maker activity. I'm Sarah, and this is Lennan.
Hi, everybody!
We're really excited because today we're going to get to do a project that takes us into the great outdoors. We're going to be making a terrarium. So today, for our terrarium, we're going to be going outside to collect local plants and rocks and soil and all kinds of things to make your own very beautiful, peaceful place to look at. For today's project, you're going to need a glass jar.
A glass jar that's bigger than a pickle jar.
Or pickle jar would work too.
If you get a jar, you have to take the label off of it. If it's on the side, that matters. If it's on the very bottom, it does not matter.
That's right. And what do we do to take the label off, Lennan?
Soak it in hot water.
That's right. So warm water, and you might want to get an adult to help you with that. We have an old cookie jar to use today. It doesn't have to be this big. It does help sometimes if you do have a lid. If you don't have a lid, that's fine too. You're also going to need a large spoon to help you dig up some soil and some rock samples to use. While we're out collecting today, we're going to pick up some soil, wood chips, sand, small rocks, all things that we can line the bottom of our terrarium with.
And also a bit of dirt.
That's right, any kind of dirt. Pretty much you just need stuff that's clean and easy to dig up, and you're going to need containers to put it in. You're also going to want to pick up some small and medium-sized rocks. If you happen to have some dish scrubbies at home, you can use those for the bottom layer to help aerate things or move air around within, but it's okay if you don't because they'd also work with just some large rocks along the bottom. And Lennan decided to pick up some
wood chips.
Some wood chips to decorate with. We also mixed some in with our soil mixture, as well as some different rocks to landscape with.
And some also moss.
That's right. So we also picked up some moss here. And where do we find that, Lennan?
At the beach park.
At the beach park. Okay, so where we live in our neighborhood, we do have a little park that we can go to get moss, but you could probably find this kind of moss on trees or growing on the ground. The stuff that we found was on a fallen tree, and it was pretty easy to take off. And you can see that you can kind of still see the tree bark stuck to it, and it's still alive. So we collected this about a day or so ago when we kept it into a jar with just a little bit of water, and that kept it alive and stopped from drying out.
The science of plants is called botany.
That's right. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is add a layer of rocks, large to medium-sized rocks along the bottom.
And it's okay if they still have a bit of sand on them.
That is okay. That's probably better to go into our little miniature ecosystem that we're making.
And you can also put a bit of clams with the rocks.
Clams?
Yeah.
Oh, the fresh, okay.
They can be the same size of rocks.
Clam shells, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to put real clams in our terrarium because they wouldn't be able to live. That
No.
wouldn't be fair. Okay. You got all your rocks down there? So this is going to be our main base to create a foundation. And with the rocks being spread out, that'll allow air to flow through. If you happen to have any scrub pads at home, you can put these in the bottom to also create this barrier to allow circulation in your ecosystem. Wonderful. Now, we have this pre-mixture of
sands and wood chips.
Sand and wood chips and some pebbles in there. And Lennan, you can just go ahead and just dump that right in. Wow. Great job.
And it's okay if you get a little bit out of the jar. That's okay.
That's right. Well, science and doing projects gets a little bit messy, and that's fine. That's why we were always ask an adult if we can do it in a spot that's okay with them. Good job. That's looking really great. So then, after we put down our layer of rocks, and optional if we have the scrub things to put in, and then our mixture, we're going to go ahead and add some soil. This is different from our first mixture because it's not just sand and wood chips and pebbles, but soil that's going to help our plants in there grow. The next step, we are going to add some of our really fresh and moist moss to cover the bottom of our terrarium.
Yes.
It's so pretty and green. It's amazing.
It's okay if you rip your moss a bit. You can still put the part that ripped off in.
That's right, because moss is really, really sturdy plant, and depends on where you are. Different parts of Canada or North America, you're going to find different types of moss. Lennon and I found ours on a tree that had fallen over, is no longer alive, but it was really neat that the moss itself was alive and living off of that piece of wood. The next step is to find your feature plant for your terrarium. You can find one in the woods, such as a small fern or small pine sapling. We do have this plant here that was in another pot and not doing so well, so we thought that this would be a great opportunity to give it a try in a terrarium. Lennon, do you want to go ahead and put that in?
Yeah.
So, make a little spot in the soil for it. And this is a process called transplanting. Be very gentle. We want to make sure that those roots that keep the plant alive and fresh and so healthy stay intact when we put them in our terrarium. Whether you get it, if you get your plant in the woods or if you get them in a plant in your house. So, last but not least comes my personal favorite part, is where we get to do some landscaping with some stones, decorative stones, pieces of wood, seashells, whatever you have in your house that would look nice in your own special terrarium and that are not going to take up too much room.
And you can also add some more trees if one of them dies.
So we're just going to go ahead and put in some of our rocks, really making sure that we don't squish our special plant. And Lennon chose to use a couple of rocks he found outside, along with some decorative seashells and stones.
It's nice to have plants that like nice warm environment.
That's right, because that's the way that we build a terrarium, to have a nice warm environment so that it helps sustain itself, meaning you don't have to water it that much. When you do water your terrarium, it's best to use water that is not chlorinated. So most city tap water is. So if you live in the city, then you can perhaps go outside and get water from a puddle or from a stream. Or if you live on a well, it's probably okay to use that water. Another tip is that sometimes terrariums don't always survive for a long time. So if you notice that things are starting to die and that perhaps you have to rebuild your terrarium, you can take most of the plant parts and put it into the compost. And then of course you want to put your rocks outside or somewhere safe that's not in the compost. And then if you have a scrubby pad in there, you can throw that in the garbage or recycle it for a new terrarium. Well, there you have it, your very own terrarium for you to enjoy and watch as it grows. Over time, as we notice the differences as our plants grow and our moss, we can add new parts. We'll also take note and maybe make a journal and make drawings of what you notice happening.
Yes, and sometimes it's good to put a cap on it.
Yeah, you can put a cap on it. So if you put a cap on it, we just want to make sure that we don't break our plants. There you go. Our beautiful terrarium. And you can observe the different layers. We started with the large rocks on the bottom and then our scrubby pads. And then we had our sand and soil and wood mix. And then our potting soil. And then what?
Our potting soil and then our decorations and plants.
Yes, and we can't forget the moss that we put down to layer over top of the soil. Well, we sure had fun making our terrarium today, and we hope that you did too. We'd love to see how you made your terrarium with the unique features that you chose. Please do share with us on our social media channels, or you can take a picture and share it with us through regular mail. Thanks again for joining us today for another Maker Fun activity. We look forward to seeing what you have to share with us, and we can't wait to do another project with you at home. And remember, friends, stay brilliant.
Stay brilliant!